Hello, bat friends. My name is Illyria, and welcome to my 2-year Twitchiversary. We're going to be doing a story time today. I hope everybody is doing the splendid. And for those who do know about their special chat commands today, don't forget to use those. Make sure that you've found your spot and have joined the reading circle. Because today, at least for the first part of the day, we will be reading through the... Yes! It is, yes. So we'll be reading through the original folk and fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm. So I'm pretty excited about that. I hope everybody can hear the music. OBS is telling me that it's reading the music, but it's so beautiful. And it goes so well with the type of stories that we'll be reading. So I really, really want you guys to be able to hear it. So let me know if it's too low or anything like that, and I can adjust it. Out into the forest and sat down at the edge of a cool well. She had a golden ball that was her favorite plaything. She threw it up high and caught it in the air and was delighted by all this. One time, the ball flew up very high, and as she stretched out her hand and bent her fingers to catch it again, the ball hit the ground near her and rolled until it fell right into the water. The princess was horrified when she went to look for the ball, but she found the well was so deep that she couldn't see the bottom. So she began to weep miserably and to lament, "Oh, if only I had my ball again. I'd give anything. My clothes, my jewels, my pearls, and anything else in the world to get my ball back." As she sat there grieving, a frog stuck its head out of the water and said, "Why are you weeping so miserably?" "Oh," she said, "you nasty frog, you can't help me. My golden ball has fallen into the water." "Well, I don't want your pearls, your jewels, and your clothes," the frog responded. "But if you will accept me as your companion and let me sit next to you, and let me eat from your little golden plate, and sleep in your little bed, and promise to love and cherish me, I'll fetch your ball for you." The princess thought, "What nonsense. The simple-minded frog is blabbering. He's got to remain in his water. But perhaps he can get me my ball. So I'll say yes to him." And she said, "Yes, fair enough. But first, fetch me the golden ball. I promise you everything." The frog dipped his head beneath the water and dived down. It didn't take long before he came back to the surface with the ball in his mouth. He threw it onto the ground, and when the princess caught sight of the ball again, she quickly ran over to it, picked it up, and was so delighted to have the ball in her hands again that she thought of nothing else but to rush back home with it. The frog called to her, "Wait! Princess, take me with you, the way you promised." The ball is life. I'll take them shiny bits if Frogger didn't want them. But she didn't pay any attention to him. The next day, the princess sat at the table and heard something coming up the marble steps. Splish, splash, splish, splash. Soon thereafter, it knocked on the door and cried out, "Princess, youngest daughter, open up." So she ran to the door and opened it. And there was the frog, whom she had forgotten. Horrified, she quickly slammed the door shut and sat down back at the table. But the king saw that her heart was thumping and said, "Why are you afraid?" "There's a nasty frog outside," she replied. "He retrieved my golden ball from the water, and I promised him that he could be my companion, but I never believed at all he could get out of the water. Now he's standing outside the front door and wants to come inside." As she said this, there was a knock at the door, and the frog cried out, "Princess, youngest daughter, open up. Don't you remember what you said? Down by the well's cool water? Princess, youngest daughter, open up." The king said, "You must keep your promise no matter what you said. Go and open the door for the frog." She obeyed, and the frog hopped inside and followed her at her heels until they came to her chair. And when she sat down again, he cried out, "Lift me up to the chair beside you." The princess didn't want to do this, but the king ordered her to do it. When the frog was up at the table, he said, "Now push your little golden plate nearer to me so we can eat together." Princess, do you want a plague of frogs? Because this is how you get a plague of frogs. Right? The princess had to do this as well. And after he had eaten until he was full, he said, "Now I'm tired and want to sleep. Bring me upstairs to your little room. Get your little bed ready so that we can lie down in it." The princess became terrified when she heard this, for she was afraid of the cold frog. She didn't dare to touch him, and now he was to lie in her bed next to her. She began to weep and didn't want to comply with his wishes at all. But the king became angry and ordered her to do what she had promised, or she'd be held in disgrace. Nothing helped. She had to do what her father wanted, but she was bitterly angry in her heart. So she picked up the frog with 2 fingers, carried him upstairs into her room, lay down in her bed, and instead of setting him down next to her, she threw him, crash, against the wall. "Now you'll leave me in peace, you nasty frog." But the frog didn't fall down dead. Instead, he fell down onto the bed. He became a handsome young prince. Well, now indeed he did become her dear companion, and she cherished him as she promised. And in her delight, they fell asleep together. Squish. The next morning, a splendid coach arrived drawn by 8 horses with feathers and glistening gold harnesses. The prince's faithful Henry accompanied them. He had been so distressed when he had learned his master had been turned into a frog that he had ordered 3 iron bands to be wrapped around his heart to keep it from bursting from grief. When the prince got into the coach with the princess, his faithful servant took his place at the back so they could return to the prince's realm. And after they had traveled some distance, the prince heard a loud cracking noise behind him. So he turned around and cried, "Henry, the coach is breaking." "No, my lord, it's really nothing but the band around my heart, which nearly came apart when you turned into a frog and your fortune fell, and you were made to live in that dreadful well." 2 more times the prince heard the cracking noise and thought the coach was breaking, but the noise was only the sound of the bands springing from faithful Henry's heart, because his master had been released from the spell and was happy. The end. So that was the first story. It was actually a good one. It had a happy ending. Well, I guess as happy as it can be, as long as you're not the frog being yeeted against the bedroom wall. That doesn't sound like any fun. I guess these are just different chapters, which are in different stories. This one's even shorter. We'll say chapter 2. The companionship of the cat and mouse. A cat and a mouse wanted to live together, so they set up a common household. That sounds happy, ... Oh, the companionship of the cat and mouse? Hopefully, I don't know. They also prepared for the winter and bought a little jar of fat. But since they didn't know of a better and safer place to put it, they stuck it under the altar in the church, where it was supposed to stay until they needed it. Now, it was not long before the cat felt a craving for the fat, and went to the mouse and said, "Listen, little mouse, my cousin has asked me to be godfather for her child. She gave birth to a baby boy, white with brown spots. I'm to hold him at the christening. Would you mind letting me go out today and taking care of the house by yourself?" No, answered the mouse. "Go there, and when you get something good to eat, think of me. I sure would like a little drop of that sweet red christening wine." But the cat went straight to the church and licked up the skin off the top of the fat. Then he strolled around the city and didn't return home until evening. "You must have enjoyed yourself very much," the mouse said. "What name did they give the child?" "Skin Off," the cat answered. Skin Off? That's a strange name. I've never heard of it before. Right? Soon thereafter, the cat felt another craving and went to the mouse and said, "I've been asked to be godfather once more. The child has a white ring around his body. I can't refuse. You must do me a favor and look after the house." The mouse consented, and the cat went and ate up half the jar of fat. When he returned home, the mouse asked, "What name was this godchild given?" "Half Gone." "Half Gone? You don't say. I've never heard of such a name. I'm sure it's not on the list of proper baptismal names." Now the cat couldn't stop thinking about the jar of fat. "I've been asked to be godfather again for a third time. This child's all black and has white paws. Aside from that, there's not a white hair on his body. That only happens once every few years. You'll let me go, won't you?" "Half gone" is what they called me at work yesterday. "Skin Off, Half Gone," the mouse said. "Those are really curious names. I'm beginning to wonder about them. Even so, go ahead." The mouse cleaned the house and put it in order. Meanwhile, the cat ate up the rest of the fat in the jar and came home stout and stuffed late at night. "What's the name of the third child?" "All Gone." "All Gone? Hey now, that's the most suspicious of all the names." And said the mouse, "All gone? What's it supposed to mean? I've never seen it in print." Upon saying that, the mouse shook her head and went to sleep. Nobody called upon the cat to become godfather for the fourth time. However, soon winter came, and there was nothing more to be found outside. So the mouse said to the cat, "Come, let's go to our supply that we stuck beneath the altar in the church." But when they arrived there, the jar was completely empty. "Oh," said the mouse. "Now I know what's happened. It's as clear as day. You ate it all up when you went to serve as godfather. First the skin, then half, then— Shut up! Yelled the cat. One more word, and I'll eat you up. All gone was already on the tip of the poor mouse's tongue. No sooner did she say it than the cat jumped on her and swallowed her in one gulp. The literate mouse is having none of this. The literate mouse is gone. Chapter 3. The Virgin Mary's Child. A poor woodcutter and his wife lived at the edge of a large forest with their only child, a 3-year-old little girl. They were so poor that they couldn't afford daily meals anymore and didn't know how they would provide food for their daughter. One morning, the woodcutter, who was distressed by all this, went into the forest to work. As he began chopping wood, a tall, beautiful woman suddenly appeared before him. She was wearing a crown of shining stars on her head, and she said to him, "I am the Virgin Mary, mother of the Christ child. Since you are poor and needy, bring me your child. I'll take her with me and be her mother and look after her." Never give a random woman you found in the forest your child. That's a witch. Oh. The woodcutter obeyed her. He fetched his child and gave her to the Virgin Mary, who took her up to heaven. Once there, everything went well for the girl. She ate only cake and drank sweet milk. Her clothes were made of gold, and the little angels played with her. One day, about the time the girl had turned 14, the Virgin Mary had to go on a long journey. Before she went away, she summoned the girl and said, "Dear child, I am trusting you with the keys to the 13 doors of the kingdom of heaven. You may open 12 of the doors and look at all the marvelous things inside. But I forbid you to open the 13th door. That this little key unlocks." Strange lady in the sky asking for children is no way to raise a child, right? Give the child for the horde, right? I'm not a witch, I'm your wife. The maiden promised to obey her commands, and after the Virgin Mary had departed, she opened a new room every day and looked into the rooms of the heavenly realm. In each one of them, there was an apostle in dazzling light. Never in her life had she seen such splendor and glory. When she had finished opening the 12 doors, the forbidden door was the only one left. For a long time she resisted her curiosity, but finally she was overcome by it and opened the 13th door as well. And as the door sprang open, she saw the Holy Trinity sitting in fire and splendor. Then she touched the flames a little bit with a finger, and the finger turned golden. Quickly, she slammed the door shut and ran away. Her heart started pounding and wouldn't stop. That's how you get to Kingdom Hearts. Oh, just kidding. No, that's how you get to become a golden statue. A few days later, the Virgin Mary returned from her journey and asked the maiden to return the keys of heaven to her. When the girl handed her a bunch of keys, the Virgin looked into her eyes and said, "Didn't you also open the 13th door?" "No," she answered. Then the Virgin Mary put her hand on the maiden's heart and could feel it pounding and pounding. Now she knew the girl had disobeyed her command and had opened the door. Once again she asked, "Are you sure you didn't open the door?" "I'm sure." The maiden denied doing it for a second time. Finger of Midas. I mean, Mary, right? Like, just trust the Midas touch. When the Virgin Mary glanced at the finger that had become golden from touching the heavenly fire, she knew the maiden was guilty and said, "You've disobeyed me and lied. You're no longer worthy to stay in heaven." All at once, the girl sank into a deep sleep, and when she awoke, she was lying on the earth beneath a tall tree, surrounded by thick bushes, so that she was completely encircled. Her mouth was also locked, so that she couldn't utter one word. Since the tree was hollow, she could sit inside during the rain and storms. So it was also where she slept. Roots and wild berries were her only food. She went out looking for them as far as she could walk. In the autumn, she gathered roots and leaves and carried them into the hollow tree. When the snow and ice came, she sat inside the tree. Before long, her clothes became tattered, and one piece after another fell off her body. So she sat there, completely covered by leaves. As soon as the sun began to shine again, she went out and sat in front of the tree. Her long hair covered her on all sides like a cloak. As will begin in about 30 seconds. So we're going to take a short break so nobody misses any of the story. And I also would like to get some... Hello, Draco! Welcome in! Ads are about to begin, so anybody who does not have a... well, ads have begun, I think. So anybody who doesn't have a subscription will not miss...
Listen to me, you little cupcake. Go drink some water!
So nobody will miss any of the story. I'll take a small break there. And I also want to grab some chapstick while we take a small break.
Do it, lady.
Those stories have a different hit when the Jurassic Park theme. This isn't Jurassic Park. Chapstick. This is a live thing I found on the YouTubes. It's called Cozy Winter Study Room, Gothic Christmas Ambiance and Fireplace, Dark Academia Music for Studying. Oh, you got the game pulled up on the other... Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay, well, we're in ads right now, so I will be right back. Let me go grab me chapstick. bothers me that live stream has ads. It really screws with the ambiance. In my humble opinion. Oh yeah, I mean the YouTube, the music that I have playing in the background, I don't like that it has ads on it. Because it's nice, real like, yeah, that is what that was. It was the YouTube video has ads on it. So it was live streamed. So like that Lo-Fi Girl or something like that, how that is constantly playing like music in the background. I'm not, no, I prefer to use Chrome. But I think it's like maybe either every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes or something that's going off. Are we done with, are we back from my ads yet? Yep. Okay, so we're done with ads on my side, so we can continue on with the story. One day, during the springtime, she was sitting in front of the tree when someone forced his way through the bushes. It was the king, who had been hunting in the forest and had lost his way, and he was amazed to find such a beautiful maiden sitting alone in this desolate spot. So he asked her whether she would like to come with him to his castle. However, she couldn't answer. Instead, she merely nodded a little with her head. Then the king lifted her up onto his horse and brought her to the castle. Soon, he became so fond of her that he made her his wife. Look on the extensions for ad block for YouTube should help with your issue. Oh, okay. Let me finish this one and I'll see if I can find it. After a year had passed, the queen gave birth to a beautiful son. During the night, however, the Virgin Mary appeared before her and said, "If you'll tell me the truth and say that you unlocked the forbidden door, I'll give you back the power of speech, without which you really can't enjoy life. If you are stubborn and won't confess, I shall take your baby away with me." But the queen remained stubborn and denied that she had opened the forbidden door. So the Virgin Mary took the little child and disappeared with him. The next morning, when the baby was no longer there, a rumor began circulating among the people that the queen was an ogress and had eaten her own child. Gotta get going. Hope you all had a wonderful time. Enjoy the amazing story. Not gonna lie, nice to listen to this. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you did. Words are hard. I'm glad that you're enjoying it so far, and you enjoy the rest of your day. Then another year passed, and the queen gave birth to another son. Once more, the Virgin Mary appeared before her and asked her to tell the truth. Otherwise, she would also lose the second child. But the queen persisted in denying she had opened the forbidden door. So the Virgin Mary took the child away from her. The next morning, when this baby was also missing, the king's counselors said openly that the queen was an ogress, and they demanded that she be executed for her godless deeds. However, the king ordered them to keep quiet and refused to believe them because he loved his wife so much. Aw, thank you for the resubby, Caterpie. Welcome in. Poor Fiona catches trees. How are you doing? Caterpie, I hope you are fabulous today. And thank you for the happy Twitchiversary. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's simplistic, but I'll be honest. Thank you for the daily dab. It took several hours to make. Mostly it was the chat commands from my VIPs. Those are what took the most amount of time. And getting everybody set up and figuring out how to yeah, that is a YouTube live video. It's Cozy Winter Study Room, Gothic Christmas Ambiance and Fireplace. Oh, thank you for the leaderboard redeem. And the daily dab. Although once I'm finished with this story, I'm gonna see about adding that ad blocker for a Chrome extension so it stops interrupting my my beautiful ambiance with stupid ads. Wonderful. Exactly.
The audacity!
The audacity of YouTube ads! I know, right? Yep, and that's another reason why I started it kind of like at this time. So I know a lot of people on this side of the planet are still working, and so that they can just lurk and listen. No, it's not. This is a past live stream. When was this one? This was, when was this one streamed? I don't know. The past ones will have the ads, but if you watch an actual one, let's see, streamed 8 days ago. I don't know if this, well, I liked how this one sounded. I'm not sure, it's not saying that this channel is live right now, so I don't think they're doing anything live active. But I thought this one fit this scene the most. It's nice, it's peaceful, and it actually includes the fire crackling, since the gift that I found actually has like a little fire in it. But I'm almost done with this one, and then I'll see if I can find an ad blocker extension. In the 3rd year, the queen gave birth to a princess, and the Virgin Mary appeared before her once more and took her to heaven. Oh, so she didn't even bother asking, she just yanked her. Where she showed her how, her oldest... Oh, she took the queen to heaven. Okay, that makes more sense. She took her once more and took her to heaven, where she showed her how her 2 oldest children were playing with a globe of the earth. Thereupon, the Virgin Mary asked the queen once more to confess her mistake and stop lying. However, the queen wouldn't budge and continued to stand by her story. So the Virgin Mary left her and took away her third child too. Well, I mean, she's asking her to confess, but how is she supposed to confess when she cannot talk? She took away her the ability to speak, and she's like, confess! She's like, bitch, I can't. Now the king could no longer restrain his counselors, who continued to claim that the queen was an ogress. They were certain, and since she couldn't speak, she couldn't defend herself. Consequently, she was condemned to die at the stake. This will just be out. Jump scares. No. I don't. No, I did turn off all the jump scares because I didn't want somebody coming in and like scaring the absolute shit out of me, since we're doing a little bit more of a low-key kind of cozy thing. I didn't want to scare everybody and myself, so I turned those all off. As she stood tied to the stake and the fire began to burn all around her, her heart was moved, and she thought to herself, "Oh, before I die, I'd like to confess to the Virgin Mary that I opened the forbidden door in the heaven. So, I've been so wicked by denying it all this time." She obviously did give two shits about her kids. Because it was simply, yeah, I did it. Can I have my small child back, please? And just as she was thinking all this to herself, heaven opened up right above, right then and there, and the Virgin Mary descended with the two little sons at either side and the daughter in her arms. The fire was extinguished by itself, and the Virgin Mary stepped forward to the queen and said, "Since you want to speak the truth, your guilt is forgiven." Then she handed the queen her children, opened her mouth so that she could speak from then on, and bestowed happiness on her for the rest of her life. Bitch didn't deserve to be happy. I'll be honest, she didn't deserve a happy ending. She didn't seem to get right. She didn't care about herself. She didn't care about the king. She didn't care about her kids. I mean, I guess they just completely skipped over the fact that, I don't know, she had a golden finger. Like, how do you explain that? Like, I found this mute woman that probably hasn't bathed in a year in the middle of the forest and thought she was still magnificent. We're just gonna skip over the fact that she has a golden finger and the fact that she can't talk. "I shall maketh you my queen." It's like, okay, well, how can you speak your vows if you can't talk? Right? There was no other mention of the golden finger. I'm like, doesn't the king think that's weird? I guess he doesn't care. Alright, let me look at the extensions and see if I can add an ad blocker. Visit manage extensions? I think it might be visit Chrome Web Store. Nod and wave. Oh, I mean, I am a queen. Do what I say. Yeah, it is. Dang, friends. Evidently, I can't just stay at 250 followers. I got up to 50 again, and now I'm back down to 49. Someone else decided they didn't want to be a part of the party. Well, they're a party pooper. YouTube playback speed control. Right? Okay, is there a search bar? Oh, search extensions and themes. Okay, Surfy mentioned it was like a YouTube ad blocker for YouTube and Chrome. Evidently. They don't like the way I tell stories. Offended that Surfy just decided to push Dan off the cliff. Okie, so evidently I should have the ad blocker installed, I think. We'll have to see how that works. It says that it's installed. I don't know if I'll need to refresh the page. I don't know if I'll have to refresh the page for it to like be in effect, so we'll see if it descends into YouTube ads again. And if it does, I will refresh the YouTube page and see if it does the thing it's supposed to. Hopefully that will solve the problem. Yeah. I know that it wasn't the most recent person that followed me from the raid, so it's probably buried somewhere deep down in there. I'll suss them out later. Oh well. Clearly they weren't turtly enough for the Turtle Club. Alright. Chapter 4. This one is called Good Bowling and Card Playing. Doodle, doodle. Once upon a time, there was an old king who had the most beautiful daughter in the world. One day, he announced, "Whoever can keep watch in my old castle for 3 nights can have the princess for his bride." Now, there was a young man from a poor family who thought to himself, "Why not risk my life? I've got nothing to lose and a lot to win. What's there to think about?" So he appeared before the king and offered to keep watch in the castle for 3 nights. "You may request 3 things to take with you into the castle, but they have to be lifeless objects," the king said. "Well, I'd like to take a carpenter's bench with a knife, a lathe, and a fire." All of these things were carried into the castle for him. When it turned dark, he himself went inside. At first, everything was quiet. He built a fire, placed the carpenter's bench with the knife next to it, and sat down at the lathe. Toward midnight, however, a rumbling could be heard. First softly, then more loudly. Biff, baff, hee hee, holla ho. She's gonna hunt him down and string him up at the fire. All right. Sounds an awful lot like, what is it? There's, I can't remember what season of The Witcher it was in. What are they called? What a girl boss, right? It sounds like, I've already forgotten what it's called. A striga. Yep. Kind of how that sounds. It became more dreadful, and then it was somewhat quiet. Finally, a leg came down the chimney and stood right before him. Just the leg? How odd. Hey there, the young man cried out. How about some more? One is too little. What? Oh, gee, that reminds me. One of my clients was laying out something they were planning, and on a month calendar, they literally said, gaslight phase starts 9 a.m. Coworkers and I were absolutely losing it in the private Slack channel. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss jokes. The noise began once again. Another leg fell down the chimney, and then another, and another, until there were 9. What? That's enough now. I've got enough for bowling. But there are no balls. Out with them! What? There was a tremendous uproar, and 2 skulls fell down the chimney. He put them in the lathe and turned them until they were smooth. Now they'll roll much better. Then he did the same with the legs and set them up like bowling pins. Hey now, I can have some fun. Suddenly 2 large black cats appeared and strode around the fire. Meow, meow, they screeched. We're freezing, we're freezing. Okay, interesting. You fools! What are you screaming about? Sit down by the fire and warm yourselves. After the cats had warmed themselves, they said, Good fellow, we want to play a round of cards. All right, he replied, but show me your paws. You've got such long claws, and I've got to give them a good clipping before we begin. Yes, 3 skull holes for the perfect bowling balls. What the actual fuck is going on with this one? I think this guy, I don't know, did some acid or something before his first night. Upon saying this, he grabbed them by the scruffs of their necks and lifted them to the carpenter's bench. Then he fastened them to the vise and beat them to death. Afterward, he carried them outside and threw them into a pond that lay across from the castle. Just as he returned to the castle and wanted to settle down to warm himself by the fire, many black cats and dogs came out of every nook and cranny, more and more, so that he couldn't hide himself. They screamed, stamped on the fire, and kicked it about so that the fire went out. So he grabbed his carving knife and yelled, Get out of here, you riff-raff! And he began swinging the knife. Most of the cats and dogs ran away. The others were killed. And he carried them out and threw them into the pond. Then he went back inside to the fire and blew the sparks so that the fire began again and he could warm himself. After he had warmed himself, he was tired and laid down on a large bed that stood in a corner. Just as he wanted to fall asleep, the bed began to stir and raced around the entire castle. That's fine with me. Just keep it up. So the bed dove around as those 6 horses were pulling it over stairs and landings. Bing, bang. Should have used that to get kids out of my classroom. Get out of here, you riffraff. Right? It turned upside down from top to bottom, and he was beneath it. So he flung the blankets and pillows into the air and jumped off. Anyone who wants a ride can have one. Then he lay down next to the fire until dawn. In the morning, the king arrived, and when he saw the young man lying asleep, he thought he was dead and said, "What a shame." But when the young man heard these words, he awoke, and as soon as he saw the king, he stood up. Then the king asked him how things had gone during the night. "Quite well. One night's gone by smoothly. One night's gone by smoothly. The other 2 will go by just as well." Indeed, the other nights were just like the first, but he already knew what to do. And so on the 4th day, he was rewarded with the king's beautiful daughter. What the actual fuck? That one befuddles me a bit. Like, yeah, that one was completely random. Why did he have to kill the cats? I'm not gonna question it. I think he's just sadistic. That's gotta be it. Okay. Chapter 5. The Wolf and the 7 Kids. A goat had 7 young kids, whom she loved very much, and carefully protected from the wolf. One day, when she had to go and fetch some food, she called them all together and said, "Dear children, I must go out to find some food, so be on your guard against the wolf and don't let him inside. Pay close attention, because he often disguises himself, but you can recognize him right away by his gruff voice and black paws. Protect yourselves. If he gets into the house, he'll eat you all up." Upon saying this, the goat went on her way. But it was not long before the wolf arrived at the door and called out, "Open up, dear children. I'm your mother, and have brought you some beautiful things." But the 7 kids said, "You're not our mother. She has a lovely soft voice, and yours is gruff. You're the wolf, and we're not going to open the door." The wolf went away to a shopkeeper and bought a big piece of chalk. "Hi, Wolf. We're reading a story about you. You're trying to eat some goat children's." How are you doing today? I hope you are doing wonderful. Good, good. I hope you slept well as well. wolf went away to a shopkeeper and bought a big piece of chalk, which he ate, and it made his voice soft. Doesn't make any sense, but okay. Then he returned to the house door of the 7 kids and called out with a soft voice,
"Dear children, let me in. I'm your mother, and I've brought something for each of you."
But the wolf had put his paw on the windowsill, and when the children saw it, they said, "You're not our mother. She doesn't have a black claw like yours. You're the wolf. We're not going to open the door for you." So the wolf ran to the baker and said, "Baker, put some dough on my paws for me." Makes me wonder what kind of animal the baker is. And after that was done, the wolf went to the miller and said, "Sprinkle some white flour on my paws." The miller said, "No. If you don't do it, I'll eat you up." So the miller had to do it. Now the wolf went once again to the house door of the 7 kids and said, "Dear children, let me in. I'm your mother, and I've brought something for each of you." The 7 kids wanted to see the paws first, and when they saw that they were snow white and heard the wolf speak so softly, they thought he was their mother and opened the door. Once the wolf entered, however, they recognized him and quickly hid themselves as best they could. The first kid slid under the table, the second hid in the bed, the third in the oven, the fourth in the kitchen, the fifth in the cupboard, the sixth under the large wash bin, and the 7th in the clock case. However, the wolf found them all and swallowed them, except for the youngest in the clock case, who remained alive. When the wolf had satisfied his craving, he went off. Shortly thereafter, the mother goat came home, and oh, what a terrible sight! The wolf had been there and had devoured her dear children. She thought they were all dead, but then the youngest jumped out of the clock case and told her how everything had happened. In the meantime, the wolf, who was stuffed, had gone to a green meadow, where he had lain himself down in the sun and had fallen into a deep sleep. The old goat thought she still might be able to save her children. Therefore, she said to the youngest kid, "Take the scissors, needle, and thread, and follow me." After she left the house, she found the wolf lying on the ground in the meadow and snoring. "There's that nasty wolf," she said, and inspected him from all sides. "There he is after eating my 6 children for supper. Give me the scissors. Oh, if only they're still alive inside him." Then she cut his belly open, and the 6 kids that had been swallowed whole by the gluttonous wolf jumped out and were unscathed. Immediately, she ordered them to gather large and heavy stones and bring them to her. Then she filled his stomach with them, and the kids sewed him up again and hid behind the hedge. When the wolf had finished sleeping, he felt that his stomach was very heavy and said, "It's rumbling and tumbling in my belly. It's rumbling and tumbling in my belly. And I've only eaten 6 kids." He thought he better have a drink of fresh water to help himself, and he looked for a well, and when he leaned over, he couldn't stand straight because of stones, and fell into the water. When the 7 kids saw this, they came running and danced joyfully around the well. How on freaking earth that he didn't wake up? Well, I don't know. His entire insides were being carved up. That must have been one hell of a food coma. Moral of the story, don't eat children. Moral of the story, don't eat that goat's children. Because she's a much better mother than that one random lady from like 2 stories ago, where instead of admitting that she did something wrong, she let 3 of her kids be taken. Chapter 6. The Nightingale and the Blindworm. Once upon a time, there lived a nightingale and a blindworm, each with one eye. For a long time, they lived together peacefully and harmoniously in a house. However, one day the nightingale was invited to a wedding, and she said to the blindworm, "I've been invited to a wedding and don't particularly want to go with one eye. Would you be so kind as to lend me yours? I'll bring it back to you tomorrow." The blindworm gave her the eye out of the kindness of her heart. But when the nightingale came home the following day, she liked having 2 eyes in her head and being able to see on both sides. So she refused to return the borrowed eye to the blindworm. Then the blindworm swore that she would avenge herself on the nightingale's children and the children of her children. "Well," replied the nightingale, "see if you can find me. I'll build my nest in the liden so high, so high, so high, you'll never be able to find it, no matter how hard you try." Ever since that time, all the nightingales have had 2 eyes, and all the blindworms, none. But wherever the nightingale builds her nest, a blindworm lives beneath it, in the bushes, and constantly tries to crawl up the tree, pierce the eggs of her enemy, and drink them up. Moral of the story, oh goodness, right? How fucking rude of that nightingale. "Well, I like having 2 eyes, so fuck you. You're just a worm." Chapter 7. The Stolen Pennies. One day, a father was sitting at the table with his wife and children, and a good friend who was visiting him, and they were having their noonday meal. Oh, I guess that's lunch.
Wasn't me.
As they were sitting there, the clock struck 12, and the visitor saw the door open, and a pale child dressed in snow-white clothes entered. He didn't look around or say anything, but went silently into the next room. Shortly thereafter, he returned and went away just as quietly as he entered. On the 2nd and 3rd day, the child came again. Finally, the visitor asked the father who the beautiful child was that entered the room every day at noon. The father answered that he knew nothing about him. He hadn't seen anything. The next day, as the clock struck noon, the child entered again, and the visitor pointed the child out to the father, but he didn't see the boy. Neither did the mother nor the children. The visitor stood up, went to the door, opened it a little, and looked inside. There he saw the pale child sitting on the floor, digging and rummaging in the cracks of the boards. However, As soon as the child noticed the visitor, he disappeared. Now the visitor told the family what he had seen and gave an exact description of the boy. The mother was then able to recognize the child and said, "Alas, it's my own dear child who died 4 weeks ago." They then ripped up the boards of the floor and found 2 pennies that the boy had received from his mother at one time to give to a poor man, but the child had thought, "You can buy yourself a biscuit for that." Therefore, he had kept the pennies and had hidden them in the cracks of the floor. This is why he hadn't been able to rest in his grave and had come back every day at noon to look for the pennies. So the parents gave the money to a poor man, and after that the little child was never seen again. Is that a little Grogu? That is a little Grogu. That's cute. Oh, a little peekaboo. Chapter 8. The Hand with the Knife. There once was a little girl who had 3 brothers, and the boys meant the world to her mother. Yet the little girl was always neglected, treated badly, and forced to go out early in the morning every day to dig up peat from the dry ground on the heath, which they used for making fires and cooking. Wouldn't that be hearth? I don't know. To top it all off, she was given an old, blunt shovel to perform this nasty work. But the little girl had an admirer who was an elf and lived in a hill near her mother's house. Whenever she went by the hill, he would stretch out his hand from the rocky slope and offer her a knife that had miraculous powers that could cut through anything. She used his knife to cut out the peat and would finish her work quickly. Then she would return home happily with the necessary load, and when she walked by the rocky slope, she would knock twice and the hand would reach out and take back the knife. When the mother noticed how swiftly and easily she came back home with peat, she told the girl's brothers that there must be someone helping her. Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to complete the work so fast. So the brothers crept after her and watched her receive the magic knife. They overtook her and forced her to give it to them. Then they returned to the rocky slope, knocked the way she always done, and when the good elf stretched out his hand, they cut it off with his very own knife. The bloody arm drew back, and since the elf believed that his beloved had betrayed him, he was never seen after that. I mean, he could have just, I don't know, like, instead of reaching out with just his hand, he has eyes. He could have been like, "Bitch, you ain't your sister. Go away." Chapter 9. The 12 Brothers. What are your sisters what I hear on a call? You're welcome. Once upon a time, there was a king who had 12 children, all boys. Moreover, he didn't want to have a daughter, and said to his wife, "If you give birth to our 13th child and it's a girl, I shall have the 12 boys killed. However, if it's a boy, then they'll all remain alive and stay together." What kind of fuckery is that? And what are the odds? What are the odds of giving birth 12 times and they all be boys? I mean, I know a family that had 5 children and all of which were boys, and they adopted a girl because they wanted at least one. But the odds of all of 12 being boys is redonkulous. And who would, like, jeopardize the lives of all 12 of their heirs, Mr. King? Because the one who's least likely to be on the throne just so happens to be a female. What a dumb shit. Anyway, the queen thought of talking him out of this, but the king refused to hear anything more about this topic. If everything turns out like I said, they must die. I'd rather chop off their heads myself than let a girl be among them. Then stop having kids! Yeah, right? I just feckin' stop having kids then. There's always that option. Gosh, this king sucks at being king. The queen was sad about this because she loved her sons with all her heart and didn't know how she could save them. Finally, she went to the youngest, who was her favorite, and revealed to him what the king had decided. "Dearest child," she said, "go into the forest with your 11 brothers. Stay there and don't come home. One of you should keep watch on a tree and look over here toward the tower. If I give birth to a little son, I'll raise a white flag on top of the tower. However, if it is a little daughter, I'll raise a red flag. If you all see that it's red, then save yourselves. Flee into the wide world, and may our dear Lord protect you. I'll get up every night and pray that you won't freeze in the winter and are able to warm yourselves by a fire, and that when it's hot in the summer, you can rest in a cool forest and sleep." After she gave her blessing to her sons, they went out into the forest, where they frequently looked toward the tower. One of them had to sit on top of a high tree and constantly keep watch. Soon, a flag was hoisted, but it wasn't a white one. It was a blood-red flag that foreshadowed their doom. As soon as the brothers caught sight of it, they all became angry and cried out, "Why should we lose our lives because of a girl?" Then they all swore to remain in the middle of the forest to keep on their guard. And if a maiden were to appear, they would kill her without mercy. All right. Soon after this, they searched for a cave where the forest was the darkest, and that's where they would begin to live. Every morning, 11 of the brothers went off to hunt. One of them had to remain home, cook and keep house. Whenever they encountered a maiden, she was treated without mercy and lost her life. This is how they lived for many years. In the meantime, their little sister grew up and was the only child left at home. One day, there was a large amount of washing to do, and among the clothes there were 12 shirts for boys. "Whose shirts are these?" the princess asked the washerwoman. "They're much too small for my father." It was then that the washerwoman told her that she had once had 12 brothers, but they had mysteriously gone away. Nobody knew where, because the king had wanted to have them killed. And the 12 shirts belonged to the 12 brothers. The little sister was astonished that she had never heard of her 12 brothers. And during the afternoon, as the clothes were drying and she was sitting in the meadow, she recalled the words of the washerwoman. After giving considerable thought to what she had heard, she stood up and took the 12 shirts and went into the forest where her brothers were living. How did she know that? The little sister made her way straight to the cave that served as her brother's dwelling. How does she know that? 11 of them were out hunting, and only one of them who had to cook was at home. When he caught sight of the maiden, he composed himself and drew his sword. "Kneel down, your red blood will flow this very second." But the maiden pleaded, "Dear sir, let me live. I'll stay with you and serve you honestly. I'll cook and keep house." "Hello! How you doing today? I hope all is well in your realm. Welcome, welcome." She spoke these words to the youngest brother, and he took pity on her because of her beauty and spared her life. Later, when his 11 brothers returned home and were astonished to find a maiden alive in their cave, he said to them, "Dear brothers, this girl came to our cave, and when I wanted to cut her to pieces, she pleaded for her life so much and said that she would serve us faithfully and keep house that I spared her life." It is, yes. I'm having a good time so far. I hope everybody is enjoying the stories. Some of them are very strange, but I am enjoying them nonetheless, and I hope everyone else is as well. The others thought that this would be a great benefit to them, because now all 12 of them could go hunting, and they were satisfied with this arrangement. Then the maiden showed them the 12 shirts and told them that she was their sister. Indeed, they were all very happy about this and glad that they hadn't killed her. Now the little sister took over all the household chores, and when the brothers went out hunting, she gathered wood and herbs, kept the fire going, made up the beds nice and white and clean, and did everything with zeal and without getting tired. One day, when she was finished with all the work, she took a walk in the woods and came to a place where there were 12 large, beautiful white lilies. Since they pleased her so much, she plucked all 12 of them. No sooner did she do this than an old woman stood before her. "Oh, my daughter," she said, "why didn't you let the 12 budding flowers just stand there? They're your 12 brothers. Now they've been changed into ravens and are lost forever." The little sister began to weep and said, "Isn't there any way I can save them?" "No, there isn't any way in the world except one that's so difficult you won't be able to rescue them. You must spend the next 12 years without speaking. If you say one single word, even if there's only an hour left, everything will be in vain, and your brothers will die that very moment." Well, The little sister responded by climbing a tall tree in the forest where she took a place. She wanted to sit there 12 years without saying a word to free her brothers. But it so happened that the king was out riding and hunting in the forest. As he rode by the tree, his dog stood still and barked. So the king stopped, looked up, and was very amazed by the princess's beauty. He called to her and asked her whether she wanted to become his wife. Isn't that her dad? However, she remained silent and only nodded a bit with her head. So the king himself dismounted, helped her down from the tree, and lifted her up before him onto his horse. Then he brought her home to his castle. Meanwhile, the princess did not utter one word, and the king thought that she was mute. They would have lived happily with one another if it hadn't been for the king's mother, who began to slander the young queen in front of her son. She's a common beggar that you've dug up from nowhere, and she's doing the most disgraceful things behind your back. Since the young queen couldn't defend herself, the king was led astray and finally believed that what his mother said. So he sentenced his wife to death, and an enormous fire was built in the courtyard, where she was to be burned to death. I am seeing that we will be having ads start in about 45 seconds, so I'm going to place a bookmark so nobody misses any of the story. Actually, it's a good time to get more water. So this is a good time for everybody to take a
Shh, little butt crack. Be quiet. This is a ninja mission.
Somebody switched to their computer. I don't know why it's out of stock. That's weird. Hold on, let me take a look at that. It shouldn't. I mean, they should all have cooldowns on them, but there shouldn't be a limit for that one. Let me take a peek.
Now you listen to me, you little cupcake. Go drink some water!
Yep, well, evidently...
Yikes forever.
There we go. You're right, there was a limit on there. Not sure why. I think it was standard or something to that effect. Okay, sweetie. It shouldn't matter though. Because there was like limit redemption per stream was 20 for some reason, and limit redemption per user per stream was 15, but you definitely didn't do it 15 times today. So I don't know why it was... I think it was because that was the standard for a blurb. It puts a standard like limit on all blurps, I guess. And evidently I forgot to take that off, but I have since removed all of the limits, redemption limits, but there is still just like a 2-minute cooldown. So just to prevent from spamming. But other than that, there are a hydrangea limit, huh? Is that a flower? I'm pretty sure a hydrangea is a flower. It is, yes. Okay. I am also at my hydrangea limit. Oh. You know, pollen. Alright. Well, we have about 40-something seconds left on ads, but I'm gonna go refill my cup real fast. So far, we haven't been interrupted by ads on the YouTube ambiance side, so I think that ad blocker is doing some good things. But we'll see if it doesn't pop up while I'm up filling up my cup. So I'll be right back again. Looks like everybody is back from ads. It's good. Okie dokie, where did I leave off? Soon the queen was standing in the flames that grazed her fringes of her dress. 1 minute was left before the 12 years of her silence would be completed. There was a noise in the air, and the 12 ravens swooped down into the courtyard. As soon as they touched the ground, they became 12 handsome princes who instantly put out the fire's flame and led their sister to safety. Then she spoke once again and told the king how everything had happened and how she had to save her 12 brothers. Indeed, they were all pleased that everything turned out so well. Now they had to decide what they should do with the evil mother-in-law. Well, they stuck her into a barrel full of boiling oil and poisonous snakes, and she died a ghastly death. That escalated quickly. Oh boy, howdy did that escalate quickly. Oil and snakes, which is interesting though, because 1, they're not poisonous snakes, they're venomous snakes. And 2, if the oil is boiling, the snakes would also be dead. So there's no point in the snakes. So... Right? Goodness. Oh. Chapter 10 is called Riff Raff. Get out of here, you riff raff. The rooster said to the hen, "The nuts are ripe. Let's go up the hill and for once eat our fill of nuts before the squirrel hauls them all away." That's a strong start. "Yes," responded the hen. "Let's go and have a good time together." So they went up the hill, and since it was such a bright day, they stayed till evening. Now, I don't know whether it was because they had stuffed themselves too much, or whether they had become too high and mighty, but they didn't want to return home on foot. So the rooster had to build a small carriage made out of nutshells. When it was finished, the hen got in and said to the rooster, "Now you can just harness yourself to it." "No," said the rooster. "You have some nerve. I'd rather go home by foot than let myself be harnessed to this carriage. No, that wasn't part of our bargain. I'd gladly be coachman and sit on the box, but I refuse to pull the carriage." As they were quarreling, a duck came by, quacking and pouting. "You thieves! You said you would come up on... who said you could come up on my nut hill? Just you wait. You'll pay for this." She charged at the rooster with a wide open beak, but the rooster was on his toes and threw himself at the duck's body nice and hard. Then he dug his spurs into her so violently that the duck begged for mercy and willingly let herself be harnessed to the carriage as punishment. Now the rooster sat down on the box as a coachman, and off they went in a gallop. Butt hill. Nut. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't just a hill specifically for nuts. It's an interesting thing. But I guess that duck does. I don't even think ducks eat nuts. So there's that. duck." "Run as fast as you can," cried the rooster. After they had gone some distance, they encountered two travelers on foot, a needle and a pin, who called and asked them to stop. They said it would soon be very dark, and they wouldn't be able to go one step farther. Besides, the road was dirty, so they asked if they could have a ride. They had been at the tailor's tavern outside the town gate, and had had one beer too many, which made them late as well. Since they were thin and didn't take up much room, the rooster let them both get in. But they had to promise not to step on his or the hen's feet. Later that evening, they came to an inn, and since they didn't want to travel any farther, and since the duck was not walking well but swayed from side to side, they decided to stop there. At first, the innkeeper raised a lot of objections and said his inn was already full. Moreover, he thought they were not a very distinguished-looking group. However, they used some sweet talk and offered him the egg that the hen had laid along the way, and told him that he could also keep the duck, who laid an egg a day. So finally, he relented and said they could spend the night. Now they ordered some good hot food and had a merry time of it. Early the next morning, as the sun was rising and everyone was asleep, the rooster woke the hen, fetched the egg, pecked it open, and together they devoured it. After throwing the shells onto the hearth, they went to the needle, who was still asleep, grabbed him by the head, and stuck him into the innkeeper's easy chair. Then they stuck the pin into the innkeeper's towel. Finally, without much ado, they flew away over the heath. Chickens can't fly. But then again, pins can't talk either, so what am I questioning? I don't know what the fuck is going on either. The duck, who liked to sleep in the open air and had spent the night in the yard, heard the flapping of their wings. So she roused herself, found a brook, and swam away. That went much faster than being harnessed to a carriage. A few hours later, the innkeeper got out of bed, washed himself, and took the towel to dry himself. However, the pin scratched his face, leaving a red mark from ear to ear. Then he went into the kitchen and wanted to light his pipe. But as he leaned over the hearth, the eggshells popped into his eyes. "Everything's attacking my head this morning," he said, and went to sit down in his easy chair to settle his bad mood. But he jumped up immediately and screamed, "Ow!" The needle had stuck him worse than the pin, and not in the head. Now he was completely angry and suspected the guests who had arrived so late the night before. But when he went looking for them, they were gone. Then he swore he would never again let riffraff stay at his inn, especially when they eat so much, pay nothing, and play mean tricks on top of it all. Yeah, chickens do believe they fly. The charm of old fairy tales. I have no idea what's going on. Chapter 11. Little Brother and Little Sister. A little brother took his little sister by the hand and said, "Ever since our mother died, we've not had one moment of happiness. Our stepmother beats us every day. and when we come near her, she kicks us away with her foot. We get nothing but hard crusts of bread, just leftovers for food, and the dog under the table is better off. At least he gets a good chunk of meat to eat every now and then. Lord have mercy on us, for our mother only knew. Come, let's go off together into the wide world. So they went away and came to a large forest, where they were so sad and tired that they crept into a hollow tree and just wanted to die from hunger. Then they both fell asleep. When they woke the next morning, the sun was already high in the sky and warmed the hollow tree with its rays. "Little sister," said the little brother after a while, "I'm thirsty. If only I knew where to find a spring, I'd go and have a drink right away. Listen, I think I hear one trickling." "What good will that do?" the little sister answered. "Why do you want to drink when we just want to die from hunger?" The little brother kept quiet and climbed out of the hollow tree, and since he always held his sister's hand tightly, she had to climb out with him. Now their evil stepmother was a witch, and when she had noticed that the two children had left, she followed them and caused a clear little stream near the tree to trickle from some rocks and form a spring. The trickling spring was intended to lure the children and make their mouths water, but whoever drank from the spring would be changed into a little fawn. There it is! Yeah, she's a witch. The little brother soon came to the spring with his sister, and when he saw the glittering water trickled over the stones into the spring, his thirst became even greater, and he wanted to drink some of the water. However, the little sister was fearful. She thought she had heard the spring speak to her as it trickled. "Whoever drinks me will be changed into a fawn. Whoever drinks me will be changed into a fawn." So she begged her little brother not to drink the water. "I don't hear anything," said the little brother. "I just hear how lovely the water is trickling. Let me go." Oh, welcome back. We have two little children who had a witch as a stepmother and only want to die from hunger. Upon saying this, he lay down on the ground, leaned over, and drank. And as soon as he felt the first drop of water hit his lips, he was changed into a little fawn sitting beside the spring. The little sister wept and wept. However, the witch was angry that she hadn't been able to lure the little sister to drink the water as well. After the girl wept for 3 days, she stood up, gathered some bulrushes, and wove them into a soft rope. When she attached it to the little fawn and led him with her. She looked for a cave, and when she found one, she carried moss and foliage inside and made a soft bed for him. The next morning, she went out with the fawn to a place with tender grass, and there she gathered the most beautiful grass, which he ate out of her hand. The fawn was delighted and romped about on the hills. In the evening, when the little sister was tired, she laid her head on the back of the fawn. It was her pillow, and this is how she fell asleep. If only her brother could have retained his human form, it would have been a wonderful life. Bats around here makes you wonder if Illyria can fly. No. I just fall like a lump. For many years, they lived like this, in the forest. Then one day, the king went out on a hunt, and when he became lost, he stumbled upon the maiden with the little animal in the forest and was amazed by her beauty. He lifted her up upon his horse and took her with him, while the fawn, attached by the rope, ran alongside. At the royal court, the maiden was treated with honor. beautiful young women had served her. But she herself was more beautiful than any of the other ladies. She never let the fawn out of her sight, and she tended him with care. Shortly after her arrival, the queen mother died, and the king wed the sister, and they lived together in great joy. No, I haven't. However, the stepmother had heard about the good fortune of the poor little sister. She had thought that the maiden had long since been torn to pieces by wild beasts, but they had never done anything to her. Indeed, the maiden was now the queen of the realm. The witch was so angry about this that she could only think of some way she might ruin the queen's happiness. When the queen gave birth to a handsome prince the next year, and the king was out hunting, the witch appeared in the form of a chambermaid and entered the room where the queen was recovering from the birth. "The bath has been prepared for you," she said. "It will do you good and strengthen you. Come, before the water becomes too cold." The witch led the queen into the bathroom and locked the door behind her. Inside, there was a brutally hot fire, and the beautiful queen was suffocated to death. Now the witch had a daughter of her own, and she endowed her with the outward shape of the queen and laid her in the bed in place of the queen. In the evening, when the king returned home, he didn't realize that he had a false wife. But in the night, and the nurse saw this, the real queen appeared in the room. She went to the cradle, lifted the child to her breast, and suckled him. Then she plumped up his tiny mistress. Then she plumped up his tiny mattress, laid the baby in the cradle again, and covered him. After this, she went into the corner where the fawn slept, stroked his back. This is how she came and went every night without saying a word. One time, however, she entered again and said, "How's my child? How's my fawn? Twice more I'll come and I'll be gone." Then she did what she had usually done the other nights. Meanwhile, the nurse woke the king and told him secretly what had occurred. So the next night the king kept watch, and he too saw how the queen came and clearly heard her words. "How's my child? How's my fawn? Once more I'll come, then I'll be gone." However, he didn't dare to speak to her. The following night, he kept watch again, and the queen said, "How's my child? How's my fawn? There's no more time. Soon I'll be gone." The king could no longer restrain himself. He sprang forth and embraced her, and as soon as he touched her, she was restored to life, rosy, red, and well. The false queen was led into the forest, where the wild beasts devoured her. The evil stepmother was burned at the stake, and as the fire consumed her, the fawn was transformed, and the brother and sister were once again together and lived happily until the end of their days. What? That one doesn't make any sense to me. It's like if she suffocated the real queen, then who was... I think I'm asking too many questions that don't have answers, because I'll be honest, that one didn't make any sense. There's too many plot holes for that one. oh boy, the next one is Rapunzel. I think after, it's almost 2 o'clock my time, so I think after I'm done reading this one, I'm gonna go grab something to eat. Yeah, I'm feeling like I do kind of have to, like... I'm trying to make sense of it, and it's just like... How does this make any sense? Because it kind of doesn't. Like, if she's dead, then what is this whole, like, popping in there and repeating stuff? Like, she was suffocated, right? Or am I missing something? It's fine, don't worry. Everything's all better. I think after we finish Rapunzel, I might take a small break and get something to eat, because I am starting to get hungry. But I am curious to see what the original story of Rapunzel is. So, chapter 12. Indeed, I must sustain my mortal form. Chapter 12. Rapunzel. Once upon a time, there lived a husband and a wife who had been wishing for a child many years, but it had all been in vain. Finally, the woman became pregnant. Now, in the back of their house, the couple had a small window that overlooked a fairy's garden filled with all kinds of flowers and herbs. But nobody ever dared to enter it. One day, however, when the wife was standing at the window and looking down into the garden, she noticed a bed of wonderful Rapunzel. She had a great craving to eat some of the lettuce, and yet she knew that she couldn't get any. So she began to waste away and looked wretched. Her husband eventually became horrified and asked what was ailing her. I mean, is a kid for lettuce craving? If I don't get any of that Rapunzel from the garden behind our house, I shall have to die. How very dramatic. Okay. Finish your dinner and you can have more salad. It's definitely not me. Her husband loved her very much and thought, no matter what it costs, you're going to get her some Rapunzel. So one evening, he quickly climbed over the high wall into the garden, grabbed a handful of Rapunzel, and brought the lettuce to his wife. Then she immediately made a salad and ate it with great zest. However, the Rapunzel tasted so good to her, so very good, that her craving for it became 3 times greater by the next day. Her husband knew that if she was ever to be satisfied, he had to climb into the garden more than once. And so, he went over the wall into the garden, but was extremely terrified when he stood face to face with the fairy, who angrily berated him for daring to come into the garden and stealing her Rapunzel. Oh, I shall have to die. It's not dramatic, and it's how I feels. He did. He definitely went over the garden wall. That was the first mistake.
We're here to burgle your turts.
He excused himself as best as he could by explaining that his wife was pregnant and that it had become too dangerous to deny her the Rapunzel. "All right," the fairy finally spoke. "I shall permit you to take as much Rapunzel as you like, but only if you give me the child that your wife is carrying." Oh, damn. Shit, I let myself yawn once and now I can't stop. "You can get away with a lot if you say because you're pregnant, right?" Except for it's like, "All right, you can, so long as you give me your firstborn child. Since I helped grow it and everything." I'm not taking a nap. No, I don't nap. My brain just needs oxygen. Clearly. In his fear, the man agreed to everything. And when his wife gave birth, the fairy appeared at once, named the baby girl Rapunzel, and took her away. Rapunzel grew to be the most beautiful child under the sun. But when she turned 12, the fairy locked her in a very high tower that had neither doors nor stairs, only a little window high above. Whenever the fairy wanted to enter the tower, she would stand below and call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Somebody at my door? Oh, Will is home. Will is at my door. Rapunzel had radiant hair, as fine as spun gold. Each time she heard the fairy's voice, she unpinned her braids and wound them around a hook on the window. Then she let her hair drop 20 yards, and the fairy would climb up on it. One day, a young prince went riding through the forest and came upon the tower. He looked up and saw a beautiful Rapunzel at the window. When he heard her singing with such a sweet voice, he fell completely in love with her. However, since there were no doors in the tower and no ladder could ever reach her high window, he fell into despair. Nevertheless, he went into the forest every day until one time he saw the fairy, who called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Yeah, 20 yards, right? Very specific. As a result, he now knew what kind of ladder he needed to climb up into the tower. Hi, Fancy! You know she got split ends, right? He took careful note of the words he had to say, and the next day at dusk, he went to the tower and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." So she let her hair drop, and when her braids were at the bottom of the tower, he tied them around him and she pulled him up. At first, Rapunzel was terribly afraid, but soon the young prince pleased her so much that she agreed to see him every day and pull him up into the tower. Thus, for a while, they had a merry time and enjoyed each other's company. The fairy didn't become aware of this until one day. Rapunzel began talking and said to her, "Tell me, Mother Gothel, why are my clothes becoming too tight? They don't fit me anymore." Oh no. Oh no. "Oh, you godless child," the fairy replied. "What's this I hear?" That is when she hit him with a pan. Yikes forever. She immediately realized that she had been betrayed and became furious. Then she grabbed Rapunzel's beautiful hair, wrapped it around her left hand a few times, picked up a pair of scissors with her right hand, and snip, snap, the hair was cut off. afterward, the fairy banished Rapunzel to a desolate land where she had to live in great misery. In the course of time, she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. On the same day that the fairy had banished Rapunzel, she fastened the braids that she had cut off to the hook on the window, and that evening, when the prince came and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair."
Oh my.
Yeah, perhaps that is how the pan came to be. She let the braids down, but when the prince climbed up into the tower, he was astonished to find the fairy instead of Rapunzel. "Do you know what, you villain?" The angry fairy said. "Rapunzel is lost to you forever." In his despair, the prince threw himself from the tower. He escaped with his life, but he lost both eyes. Sadly, he wandered around in the forest, eating nothing but grass and roots, and did nothing but weep. How did he weep? He didn't have any eyes. Some years later, he made his way to the desolate land where Rapunzel was leading a wretched existence with her children. When he heard her voice, it sounded familiar at first, and then he immediately recognized it. She recognized him too, and embraced him. 2 of her tears fell upon his eyes. Then his eyes became clear again, and she could see as well, and he could see as usual. How was it usual? Oh, that was it? Tear ducts are... I know. I was being silly. Oh, it's an interesting story. So he flung himself out of a tower that's 20 yards up into the air. He was fine, but fucked up his eyes somehow. And then he bitched and moaned about it, and somehow managed to blindly make his way to whatever desolate land she was banished off to. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about your eyes and everything," right? He landed eyeballs first. That's what I was envisioning, yeah. Eyeballs first. Oh, shit. Okay, and then he was like, "Oh, my dear, I think that is your face. I do declare, Mr. Beauregard, that is you." Yeah, that was interesting. Okay, that wasn't as tragic as I thought it was gonna be, although she never saw her parents. And all because this bitch wanted some lettuce. Moral of the story, don't eat lettuce. Oh boy. Oh, that's funny. Alright, it is a little after 2, so I'm gonna go grab some lunch real fast. We'll read for a little bit more. Not sure exactly how much more you guys want to listen, but we can shift into whatever it's called. I'll think of it in a second. We can shift into something. Scrub Daddy. Car washer simulator at some point. Woo! Is that me door? Oh. Oh, did you say my olive? Oh, it's because I completely forgot to make my status green. I just noticed that it was still invisible. My bad. I was like, oh, well, pooper schnitzel. I was like, my olive finally popped? What does that mean? I have way too many notifications on my damn phone. But, get some of those complete. Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it as well. These stories are something else. But, now if this is, ends up being something that you guys very much enjoy, or at least are having a good time with, then we could figure out a way to work it back into the, or work it into the schedule as a more regular thing, I guess. We could probably do like maybe, I don't know, story time once a month or something like that. Depends upon how you guys are enjoying it, because then I can actually get more use out of this scene that I built. But yeah, it's lunchtime for me, so I'm going to take a bit of a break. I do have this this YouTube sounds something. I will be back, and we'll read more after I get back. I'm just hungry and I need to eat something. But the music will still play.
You listen to me, you little cupcake. Go drink some water.
Thank you for the hydrate. But I do have this music still playing on my Be Right Back screen, so we're gonna switch over to that, and you can still listen to the nice music. I'm just gonna go eat something real fast, but I will get some sustenance indeedy. But enjoy the beautiful music that I have noticed has not been
exotic butters.
Yes, exotic butters. I shall eat some exotic butters. Yeah. But I have noticed has not been interrupted by ads anymore. So thank you, Survey, for the ad blocker suggestion. So keep listening to the beautiful, wonderful music, and I shall go eat something. But I shall be back, and we will read more weird fairy tales. Until then, see you in a bit. Hello, friends. I am back from lunch. It was quite delicious. Will made me a very tasty steak for lunch. Oh good, we got rid of ads while I was doing that. And I put it in my pocket like an OG Polly Pockets from the 90s. Fantastic. Thank you. I hope everybody got a little something to eat, or that they have eaten today. Get yourself something to drink. Stretch your legs. Use the bathroom. Whatever you got to do. Take care of your faces today. Where did I put the book? Alright, what is our next weird read today? We are on chapter 13. The Three Little Men in the Forest. There was a man whose wife died, and he was undecided whether he wanted to marry again. Finally, he took off one of his boots that had a hole in the sole and said to his daughter, his only child, "Take this boot and carry it up to the loft, where you'll find a large nail. Hang the boot on the nail. Then fetch some water and pour the water into the boot. If it holds the water, I'll get married again. But if it leaks, I'll let things remain as they are." What a weirdo. The maiden did as she was told. The water drew the hole together, and the boot became full to the brim. The father checked to see for himself whether this was true. Then he said, "Well, now I've got to take a wife." So he went and courted a widow who brought a daughter from her first husband with her into the house. When she saw that the stepdaughter was beautiful and that everyone was fond of her, and that her own daughter was ugly, she scolded the stepdaughter whenever she could and only thought of how she might torment her. One day, in the middle of winter, when the snow was high, the stepmother sewed her a dress made of paper. And when it was finished, she called her stepdaughter to her and said, I've got a craving to eat strawberries. So put on this dress, go into the forest, and fetch me a basket of strawberries. And don't you dare return home until the basket is full." The maiden wept bitter tears and said, "Strawberries don't grow in the winter, and even if they were, they'd be covered by the snow. How am I supposed to find them? It's so cold outside that my breath will freeze. How can I go out in a paper dress? The wind will blow right through the dress, and the thorns will tear it off my body." "Don't say one more word," the stepmother replied. "Get going and look for the strawberries." In her jealous heart, she thought that the maiden would freeze outside and never return. That's why she had made the thin paper dress. Since the maiden was obedient, she put on the paper dress and went out into the forest. There was nothing but snow, not even a blade of green grass. So she kept going, and when she reached the middle of the forest, she saw a small cottage, and 3 little men were looking out the window. She wished them a good day, and since she greeted them so politely, they asked her what she was looking for in the forest dressed in such a thin paper dress when it was wintertime. "Oh," she answered, "I'm supposed to look for strawberries, and I'm not allowed to return home until I've gathered a basketful." The 3 little men responded, "Go behind our house and clear the snow away. The strawberries have been protected there and have grown. You'll find enough to fill your basket." The maiden thanked them and did as she was told. While she cleared away the snow and gathered the strawberries, the 3 little men began talking among themselves. "Since she's so polite to us and is so beautiful, what gifts should we grant her? I'll make sure that she becomes even more beautiful than she is. This is my gift," one of the little men said. "Each time she speaks, golden coins will fall out of her mouth. That will be my gift," said another one of the little men. "I'll grant her a king who will come and take her for his wife," the 3rd little man said. When the maiden came back to them, they bestowed their gifts on her, and when she wanted to thank them, gold coins fell out of her mouth. Then she went home, and the stepmother was astonished by the strawberries that she had brought with her, and even more astonished when she saw the coins that fell from the girl's mouth. Shortly thereafter, a king came, took the maiden with him, and made her his wife. Now the mother thought about how she might provide her daughter with the same great fortune. So she sewed her a splendid fur coat and told her to go into the forest and ask the little men for a gift. But the men saw that she had a wicked heart, and instead of giving her good gifts, they gave her bad ones. The first wished that she would freeze in her fur coat as if it were made of paper. The second wished that she would grow uglier with each passing day. The third wished that she would die a miserable death. The girl returned home shivering, as if her fur coat had been made of paper, and she told her mother what she had encountered. And when her mother saw that the curses of the three men were starting to take effect, she thought only of avenging herself. So she went to her stepdaughter, who was now the queen, and pretended to be friendly and charming. Consequently, she was welcomed and given her own apartment. Shortly thereafter, the queen gave birth to a prince. And one night, when she was alone and sick and weak, the wicked stepmother lifted her out of the bed with the help of her daughter, and they carried the queen outside to a river and threw her into it. The next morning, they told the king that the queen had died during the night. The following night, the kitchen boy saw a duck swimming through the drain into the kitchen and said, "Are all my guests now sound asleep?" Then the kitchen boy answered, "Yes, indeed, you can't hear a peep. How about that baby of mine? He's asleep and doing just fine." Then the duck assumed the shape of the queen, went upstairs, suckled and nursed the baby, plumped up his little bed, covered him, and returned to the drain, where she swam away as a duck. This happened the next night too, and on the third night she said to the kitchen boy, "Go and tell the king to take his sword and swing it 3 times over my head on the threshold." The kitchen boy ran and told the king, and when he swung the sword 3 times, his wife appeared before him alive and well. The duplicity of the stepmother and her daughter was now clear as day, and they were cast into the forest to be devoured by wild animals. All right. Chapter 14. Nasty Flax Spinning. In old times, there lived a king who loved flax spinning more than anything else, and his daughters had to spin the entire day. If he didn't hear the wheels humming, he became angry. One time, he had to take a trip, and before he said his farewell, he gave a large casket of flax to the queen and said, "All this must be spun by the time I return." The princesses became distressed and wept. "If we are to spin all of that flax, we'll have to sit the entire day and we won't be able to get up at all." The queen replied, "Console yourselves. I'll certainly help you." Now there were 3 especially ugly spinsters in the realm. The first had such a huge lower lip that it hung beneath her chin. The second had an index finger on her right hand that was so thick and wide that one could make 3 other fingers of it. The third had a thick and wide flat foot that was as large as a kitchen board. The queen summoned the 3 spinsters to the castle, and on the day that the king was supposed to return home, she sat them down next to one another in her room, gave each of them a spinning wheel, and ordered them to spin. Moreover, she told each of them that to answer when what to answer when the king questioned them. As soon as the king arrived, he heard the humming of the wheels from a distance, and was so glad that he intended to praise his daughters. However, upon entering the room and seeing the horrible spinster sitting there, he was first startled. Then he stepped toward them and asked the first woman how she got the hideously large lower lip. From licking. Then he asked the second where she got her thick finger from turning the thread and twining it. As she said this, she let the thread run around her finger a couple times. Finally, he asked the third one where she got her flat foot from stamping. When the king heard all this, he commanded the queen and the princesses never to touch the spinning wheel again, and this is how they rid themselves of their agony. Interesting. Chapter 15. Hansel and Gretel. A poor woodcutter lived on the edge of a large forest. He didn't have a bite to eat and barely provided the daily bread for his wife and 2 children, Hansel and Gretel. It reached a point when he couldn't even provide that anymore. Instead, he didn't know how to solve this predicament. One night, as he was tossing and turning in bed because of his worries, his wife said to him, "Listen to me, husband. Early tomorrow morning, you're to take both the children and give them each a piece of bread. Then lead them into the middle of the forest, where it's most dense. After you build a fire for them, go away and leave them there. We can no longer feed them." "What a bitch." "No, wife," the man said. "I don't have the heart to take my own children and abandon them to wild beasts, for they'd soon come and tear them apart in the forest." "If you don't do that," his wife responded, "we shall all have to starve to death." She didn't give him any peace until he said yes. The 2 children were still awake because of their hunger, and they had heard everything that their mother said to their father. Gretel thought, "Now it's all over for me," and began to weep pitiful tears. But Hansel spoke. "Be quiet, Gretel. Don't get upset. I'll find a way to help us." Upon saying this, he got up, put on his little jacket, opened the bottom half of the door, and crept outside. The moon was shining very brightly, and the white pebbles glittered in front of the house like pure silver coins. Hansel stooped down to the ground and stuffed his pockets with as many pebbles as he could fit in. Then he went back into the house. "Don't worry, Gretel. Just sleep quietly." And he lay down again in his bed and fell asleep. Early the next morning, before the sun had even begun to rise, their mother came and woke the 2 children. "Get up, children. We're going into the forest. Here's a piece of bread for each of you. But be smart, and don't eat it until noon." Gretel put the bread under her apron because Hansel had the pebbles in his pocket. Then they all set out together into the forest. After they had walked a while, Hansel stopped still and looked back at the house. He did this time and time again until his father said, "Hansel, what are you looking at there, and why are you dawdling? Pay attention and march along." "Oh, father," said Hansel, "I'm looking at my little white cat that's sitting on the roof and wants to say goodbye to me." "You fool," the mother said. "That's not a cat. It's the morning sun shining on the chimney." But Hansel had not been looking at the cat. Instead, he had been looking at the shiny pebbles from his pocket that he had been dropping on the ground. When they reached the middle of the forest, the father said, "Children, I want you to gather some wood. I'm going to make a fire so we won't get cold." Hansel and Gretel gathered together some brushwood and built quite a nice little pile. The brushwood was soon kindled, and when the fire was ablaze, the mother said, "Now, children, lie down by the fire and sleep. We're going into the forest to chop wood. When we're finished, we'll come back and get you." Hansel and Gretel sat by the fire, and when noon came, they kept eating their pieces of bread until evening. But their mother and father did not return. Nobody came to fetch them. When it was pitch dark, Gretel began to weep, and Hansel said, "Just wait a while until the moon has risen." The pebbles glittered like newly minted silver coins and showed them the way. They walked the whole night long and arrived back at their father's house at break of day. Their father rejoiced with all his heart when he saw his children again, for he had not liked the idea of abandoning them alone in the forest. Their mother also seemed to be delighted by their return, but secretly she was angry. Not long after this, there was once again nothing to eat in the house, and one evening, Gretel heard her mother say to their father, "The children found their way back one time, and I just let that go. But now, there's nothing left in the house except for a half loaf of bread. Tomorrow, you must take them farther into the forest so they won't find their way back home again. Otherwise, there's no hope for us." All this saddened the father, and he thought, "It'd be much better to share your last bite to eat with your children." But since he had given in the first time, he also had to yield a second. Hansel and Gretel overheard their parents' conversation. Then Hansel got up and intended to gather pebbles once again, but their parents had locked the door. Nevertheless, he comforted Gretel and said, "Just sleep, dear Gretel. The dear Lord will certainly help us." Early the next morning, they each received little pieces of bread, but they were smaller than the last time. On the way into the forest, Hansel crumbled the bread in his pocket and stopped as often as he could to throw the crumbs on the ground. "Hi, Zoe! Welcome in. Don't forget to use your special chat command. It's !Zoe. Yes. I guess you didn't see the message that I had tagged you in. There you are. Thank you for joining the reading circle. I hope you're doing well today. Are having a good Wednesday so far. It's okay. That was essentially what all it was just kind of going over that I made this scene for my 2-year Twitchiversary, and that I made special chat commands for my VIPs that have been here and had supported me at some point over the last 2 years. Well, thank you, and you have a good day. And, I mean, this is more so, we started this early specifically, so it could be more of a lurking type thing. So you could just listen if need be, but if you have to skedaddle, then I hope the rest of your day is fantastic, and I shall see you later. Early the next morning, we each received little pieces of bread, but they were smaller than last time. On the way into the forest, Hansel crumbled the bread in his pocket and stopped as often as he could to throw the crumbs on the ground. "Hansel, why are you always stopping and looking around?" asked the father. "Keep going." "Oh, I'm looking at my little pigeon. He's sitting on the roof and wants to say goodbye to me," Hansel answered. "You fool," his mother said. "That's not your little pigeon. It's the morning sun shining on the chimney." Now their mother led the children even deeper into the forest until they came to a spot they had never been to before in their lives. Once again, they were to sleep by a large fire, and their parents were here to come and fetch them in the evening. When noon came, Gretel shared her bread with Hansel because he had scattered his along the way. Noon went by, and then evening passed, but no one came for the poor children. Hansel comforted Gretel and said, "Just wait until the moon has risen, Gretel. Then I'll see the little breadcrumbs that I scattered. They'll show us the way back home." When the moon rose and Hansel looked for the breadcrumbs, they were gone because the many thousands of birds that fly about the forest had found them and gobbled them up. Nevertheless, Hansel believed he could find the way home and pulled Gretel along with him. But they soon lost their way in the great wilderness. They walked the entire night, and all the next day as well, from morning till night until they fell asleep from exhaustion. Then they walked for one more day, but they didn't find their way out of the forest. They were now also very hungry, for they had nothing to eat except some berries that they had found growing on the ground. On the third day, they continued walking until noon. Then they came to a little house made of bread, with cake for a roof and pure sugar for windows. "Let's sit down and eat until we're full," said Hansel. "I want to eat a piece of the roof." "Gretel, you can have part of the window, since it's sweet." Hansel had already eaten a good piece of the roof, and Gretel had devoured a couple of small round windows and was about to break off a new one when they heard a shrill voice cry from inside.
"Nibble, nibble, I hear a louse. Who's that nibbling on my house?"
Hansel and Gretel were so tremendously frightened that they dropped what they had in their hands, and immediately thereafter, a small ancient woman crept out of the door. She shook her head and said, "Well now, dear children, where you've come from, come inside with me. You'll have a good time." She took them both by the hand and led them into her little house. Then she served them a good meal of milk and pancakes with sugar and apples and nuts. Afterward, she made up 2 beautiful beds, and when Hansel and Gretel lay down in them, they thought they were in heaven. Thank you. The old woman, however, was really a wicked witch on the lookout for children and had built the house made of bread only to lure them to her. As soon as she had any children in her power, she would kill, cook, and eat them. It would be like a feast day for her. Therefore, she was quite happy, and Hansel and Gretel had come her way. Early the next morning, before the children were awake, she got up and looked at the 2 of them sleeping so sweetly, and she was delighted and thought,
"There'll certainly be a tasty meal for you."
Then she grabbed Hansel and stuck him into a small coop. And when he woke up, he was behind a wire mesh used to lock up chickens, and he couldn't move about. Immediately after, she took Gretel and yelled,
"Get up, you lazy bones! Fetch some water, and then go into the kitchen and cook something nice. Your brother's sitting in the
the chicken coop. I want to fatten him up, and when he's fat enough, I'm going to eat him. But now I want you to feed him.
Gretel was frightened and wept, but she had to do what the witch demanded. So the very best food was cooked for poor Hansel so that he would become fat, while Gretel got nothing but crab shells. Every day, the old woman came and called out,
Hansel, stick out your finger so I can feel whether you're fat enough.
However, Hansel stuck out a little bone, and the witch was continually puzzled that Hansel didn't get any fatter. One evening, after a month had passed, she said to Gretel,
Get a move on and fetch some water. I don't care whether your little brother's fat enough or not. He's going to be slaughtered and boiled tomorrow. In the meantime, I want to prepare the dough so that we can also bake.
So Gretel went off with a sad heart and fetched the water in which Hansel was to be boiled. Early the next morning, Gretel had to get up, light the fire, and hang up a kettle full of water. 0 protein fat.
Make sure that it boils,
said the witch.
I'm going to light the fire in the oven and shove the bread inside.
Gretel was standing in the kitchen and wept bloody tears and thought, it would have been better if the wild animals in the forest had eaten us. Then we would have died together and wouldn't have had to bear this sorrow. And I wouldn't have to boil the water that would be the death of my dear brother. Oh dear God, help us poor children get out of this predicament. Then the old woman called,
Gretel, come right away over here to the oven.
When Gretel came, she said, No, she is not Gretel, she is the witch. Okay, when Gretel came, she said,
Look inside and see if the bread is ready and nice, brown and well done. My eyes are weak. I can no longer see so well from a distance. And you can't see. And if you can't see, sit down on the board and I'll shove you inside. Then you can get around inside and check everything.
The witch wanted to shut the oven door once Gretel was inside, for she wanted to bake her in the hot oven and eat her too. This is what the wicked witch had planned and why she had called the girl. But God inspired Gretel, and she said, I don't know how to do it. First, you show it to me. Sit down on the board and I'll shove you inside. So the old woman sat down on the board, and since she was light, Gretel shoved her inside as far as she could, and then quickly shut the oven door and bolted it with an iron bar. The old woman began to scream and groan in the hot oven, but Gretel ran off, and the witch was miserably burned to death. Meanwhile, Gretel went straight to Hansel and opened the door to the coop. After Hansel jumped out, they kissed each other and were glad. The entire house was full of jewels and pearls, so they filled their pockets with them. Then they went off and found their way home. Their father rejoiced when he saw them again. He hadn't spent a single happy day since his children had been away. Now he was a rich man. However, the mother had died. Fun little cliff note there. That was a good one. Seems like it, the stories of Hansel and Gretel that I had heard in the past seem fairly, similar to it. Actually, not a whole lot has been changed over the years. I mean, obviously I don't remember the parents being like, oh, we can't feed ourselves and the kids. Fuck the kids. Just leave them in the forest to die. More bread for us. That part was a bit new. Chapter 16. Her Fix It Up. This her has two R's. Herr, Fix It Up. I guess that's a name? Alright, Fix It Up had been a soldier for a long time. The Simpson version touched on it. Oh, I didn't actually watch that, I don't think. I wasn't a huge fan of The Simpsons. Fix It Up had been a soldier for a long time. When the war came to an end, however, and there was nothing but the same old things to do every day, he resigned from the army and decided to become a servant for a great lord. There would be clothes trimmed with gold, a lot to do, and always new things happening. So he set out on his way and came to a foreign court, where he saw a lord taking a walk in the garden. Fix It Up did not hesitate. He moved briskly over to the lord and said, "Sir, I'm looking for employment with a great lord. If your majesty is himself such a person, it would give me great pleasure to serve you. There's nothing I don't know or can't do. I know just how to carry out orders, no matter how they are given." "Fine, my son," the lord said. "I'll be pleased to have you. First tell me, what do I desire right now?" Without answering, Fix It Up spun around, rushed away, and returned with a pipe and tobacco. "Fine, my son, you are hired as my servant. But now, I'm going to command you to get Princess Nomini, the most beautiful maid in the world. I want to have her for my wife." Oh my god, that is kidnapping, and that's very problematic. He's not a great lord, I'm just saying. "Alright," said Fix It Up. "That's a trifle for me. Your majesty shall soon have her. Just give me a coach drawn by 6 horses, a coachman, guards, couriers, servants, and a cook, all in full dress. I myself must have princely garments, and everyone must obey my commands." Soon they departed. Fix It Up, the servant, sat inside the coach, which headed straight toward the beautiful princess's court. When the road came to an end, they drove into a field and soon reached the edge of a large forest filled with many thousands of birds. A boisterous song soared splendidly into the blue air. "Stop! Stop!" exclaimed Fix It Up. "Don't disturb the birds. They are praising their creator, who will serve me some other time. Let's go to the left." So the coachman had to turn and drive around the forest. Soon after, they came to a large field where close to 1,000 million ravens were sitting and crying shrilly for food. "Stop! Stop!" exclaimed Fix It Up. "Untie one of the horses way up front, lead it into the field, and slaughter it so the ravens can eat. I don't want them to suffer from hunger." After the ravens had eaten, the journey continued, and they came to a pond with a fish in it that was moaning and groaning. "For God's sake, I have nothing to eat in this terrible swamp. Throw me into a running river, and I'll repay your deed one day." Before the fish could even finish speaking, Fix It Up had exclaimed, "Stop! Stop! Cook, put the fish in your apron. Coachman, drive it to a running river." Fix It Up himself got out and threw the fish into the water, and the fish flapped its tail in joy. "Now get the horses going," said Fix It Up. "We must arrive at the destination spot by evening." When he reached the royal residence, he drove straight to the best inn, where the innkeeper and all his people came out and welcomed him in their best manners, thinking that a foreign king had arrived, though it was only a servant. Fix It Up had himself announced at the royal court, where he endeavored to make a good impression and court the princess. "My son," said the king, "many such suitors have already been turned away because they couldn't perform the tasks I assigned them to win my daughter." "All right, to fix it up, set any kind of hard task that you want me to do. I've ordered a quarter of litter of poppy seeds to be sown in a field. If you can gather them so that not one kernel is missing, you shall have the princess for your wife." "Oh-ho," Fix-It-Up thought, "that's not much for me." He then took a measuring cup, a sack, and snow-white sheets, went out into the field, and spread the sheets next to the field where the seeds have been sown. Soon after, those birds whose singing he had left undisturbed in the forest arrived, and they picked up the seeds, kernel after kernel, and carried them to the white sheets. When the birds had picked up all of them, Fix-It-Up poured them into the sack, took the measuring cup under his arm, went to the king, and measured out the poppy seeds for him. Now he thought the princess was already his, but he was wrong. "One more thing, my son," said the king. "My daughter has recently lost her golden ring. You must return it to me before you can have her." Fix-It-Up did not get upset. "Let your majesty show me the river and bridge where the ring was lost, then I shall soon return it to you." When Fix-It-Up was brought there, he looked down and there he saw the fish that he had thrown into the river. It stuck its head out into the air and said, "Wait a moment, I'll dive below. A whale has the ring underneath its fins, and I'll fetch it." Indeed, the fish soon returned and tossed the ring onto the shore. Fix-It-Up brought it to the king, but the latter replied, "Now just one more thing. There's a unicorn in the forest. It's been causing a great deal of damage. If you can kill it, there's nothing more you'll have to do." Fix-It-Up did not get very upset either. Instead, he went straight into the forest, where he came across the ravens whom he had once fed. "Just have a little more patience," they said. "The unicorn is lying down and sleeping, but it's not on the side where you can see its eye. When it turns over, we'll peck out its good eye. Then it'll be blind and run furiously against trees and get itself stuck with its horn. That's when you'll be able to kill it easily." Soon, the beast tossed itself around a few times and lay on its other side. All at once, the raven swooped down and pecked out its good eye. When it felt the pain, it jumped up and ran wildly around the forest. After it got its horn stuck in a thick oak tree, Fix-It-Up jumped out, cut off its head, and brought it to the king, who could no longer deny him his daughter. She was delivered to Fix-It-Up, who took a seat next to her in the coach. He was in full dress, just as he had come, and immediately drove off and brought the lovely princess to his lord. Fix-It-Up was given a fine reception, and the lord's wedding with the princess was celebrated in great splendor. Then Fix-It-Up was appointed prime minister. Everyone in the company to whom this tale was told wished to be at the celebration. One person wanted to be chambermaid, the other wardrobe attendant. Someone wanted to be a chamber servant, another the cook, and so on. And that's the end of the story, which is very weird. What an interesting illustration. Oh, let's see if I can get this to stay put. This right here is the horse with its head cut off. There's the head and there's blood on the bottom. What a strange illustration. Chapter 17. The White Snake. Be kind to animals, except unicorns. Right? That's kind of how that's appearing to me. Everything is precious except for unicorns. Fuck those things. Chapter 17. Yep. The White Snake. Every day at noon, a covered dish was placed on the king's table. Then, after everyone left, the king would eat alone from his dish, and nobody in the entire realm knew what kind of food was in it. One of the servants became curious and wanted to know what the dish contained. On one occasion, after the king had ordered him to take the dish away, he could no longer restrain himself. So he took the dish to his room and uncovered it. As he lifted the cover, he found a white snake laying inside, and once he laid his eyes on it, he felt a great desire to taste some of it. So he cut off a piece and began eating it. No sooner did his tongue touch the flesh of the snake that he understood the language of animals and heard what the birds on the windowsill were saying to each other. On this very same day, the queen lost one of her most beautiful rings, and the suspicion fell on him. The king also said that if he was not able to find the thief by morning, he himself would be punished as if he had been the guilty person. The servant became sad and went down to the courtyard where some ducks were resting in the river. As he was watching them, he heard one of them say, "There's something heavy in my stomach. I ate a ring the queen has lost." The servant took the duck and carried it to the cook. "Kill this one. It's fat enough." So the cook cut off the duck's neck, and when he began cleaning it, the queen's ring was laying in its stomach. The servant brought it to the king, who was astonished and happy. Since he was sorry he had treated the servant unjustly, he said, "Demand whatever you would like, and whatever position of royal honor you would like." However, the servant declined every offer, even though he was young and handsome. His heart was sad, and he didn't want to remain at the court any longer. He asked only for a horse and for money to travel and see the world. Well, he was provided with everything in the very best way. The next morning, he rode off and came into a pond where 3 fish were trapped in the reeds and were wailing that they'd have to die if they couldn't get back into the water. So he dismounted, took them out of the reeds, and put them back into the water. Then the fish cried out, "We'll remember you, and one day we'll repay you." Twitch is telling me that ads should start in about maybe 30 seconds. So I'm going to bookmark it here so nobody misses out on the rest of the story, and we'll come back once ads are finished. I hope everybody is enjoying their day so far. Oh, those are beautiful flowers. Artie McFarty, I just saw the Japanese snowball that you posted in the nature. I has been quite productive. I see that. You went outside and that was a beautiful plant. I like it. Looks kind of like a big version of a carnation. I think carnations kind of look similar to that. They're not quite as full. You have 2 snowballs. Oh, that's beautiful. Do they smell good? We have something called Bradford pears here, and they're a tree, and they grow these really pretty white flowers, but they smell horrid. They're the... Oh, okay. Well, at least they don't smell like anything. A Bradford pear tree smells like ass. It is insulting to the oral factory how pretty they are. They're absolutely disgusting. About 30 seconds left on ads. It's about 3:30 now. I think we will read for another half hour, and about 4 o'clock we'll take another quick break, and I'm going to switch over to Power Wash Simulator. Because I think we've been reading... we definitely have not been reading for 4 hours and 14 minutes. But, because at least the first hour we were chit-chatting and stuff. But, I've been reading for about 3 hours, and I think 4 o'clock would be a good time to switch over to something else, and people maybe should be starting to get home, or at least starting to get off of work or whatever, so we can play independently for a little bit and post the code in the Discord, so when people come home that they like to play, then they can jump in if they'd like. I think that would be kind of fun. I've never played it before, so it'd be an interesting thing. So we'll do about a half hour of reading, and then we'll change gears. Fish cried out, "We'll remember you." Okay. He rode on, and a while later he heard an ant king crying out, "Get away from us! Your enormous beast is trampling us with his large hooves." And I bought it because I think Midna was playing it. I saw her playing it with some friends, and I was like, that actually looks kind of cool. It looks like a lot of fun, and you can play with other people. That'd be kind of cool. I think it's cross-platform compatible, so that shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be restrictive to just PlayStation players. I'm pretty sure it's cross-platform. I also still don't know exactly how big the lobby size is, so I don't know exactly how many people can play, but we'll figure it out when we get there. I downloaded the game to my PlayStation, but I haven't done any. 4. Okay, cool. So another couple of you guys can play. Is cross-platform. Nice. Cross-plate form. I know what you're trying to say. Now they have maps that let 67 people join. Oh, wow. Okay, 6.
So 60's like, that's quite a lot.
Oh, cool. I mean, I know that Car Wash Simulator 2 came out last month. So I don't know if that's only like for the second one. But I bought the original. So that's the one that we'll be playing is the first one. The young man looked down to the ground and saw that his horse had stepped on an anthill. So he turned his horse away, and the Ant King called out, "We'll remember you, and one day we'll repay you." Soon the servant entered the forest, where 2 ravens were throwing their young ones out of their nests. They said that their tiny ones were now big enough and could feed themselves. The young birds lay on the ground and screamed that they would die from starvation because their wings are still too small, and they couldn't fly yet and search for food. So the young man dismounted, killed his horse with his sword, and threw the horse to the young ravens. They hopped over to the horse, ate their fill, and said, "We'll remember this, and one day we'll repay you." Jesus. Horses really do get the short end of the stick in this, in these, tales. Goodness. The young man moved on and came to a large city, where he heard a proclamation that whoever wanted to marry the king's daughter would have to perform a task given by her, and if he didn't complete it successfully, he would forfeit his life. Many princes had already been there and had lost their lives, so there was nobody anymore who dared to try. This is why the princess had the proclamation issued again. The servant thought about it and decided to declare himself as a suitor. So he was led out to the sea, where a ring was thrown into it. He was to fetch it, and if he came out of the water without it, he would be pushed back into the sea and would have to die in the water. As he was standing on the shore, the 3 fish that he had taken from the reeds and thrown into the water came swimming toward him. One of the fish held a shell in its mouth, and the ring was in the shell. The fish set it down on the beach at the feet of the young man, who was full of joy. So he brought the ring to the king and demanded the princess. However, when the princess heard that he wasn't a prince, she refused to accept him. Instead, she scattered 10 sacks full of millet seeds in the grass. He was to pick them all up before sunrise the next day, and every single grain was to be gathered, or else he'd lose his life. All at once, the Ant King came with all his ants, whom the young man had protected, and they picked up the millet seeds during the night and poured them back into the sacks. By morning, they had finished the task. When the princess saw that the sacks had been filled, she was astonished, and the young man was brought before her. Since he was handsome, she liked him, but demanded that he perform a 3rd task. He was to fetch an apple from the tree of life. As he stood there and thought about how he might get it, one of the ravens, whom he had fed with his horse, came and brought the apple in his beak. This is how he became the princess's husband, and when her father died, he became king of the entire country.
Get the precious.
Chapter 18. The Journey of the Straw, the Coal, and the Bean. A straw, a coal, and a bean came together and wanted to take a great journey. They had already gone through many countries when they reached a brook without a bridge and couldn't cross. Finally, Straw came up with a good idea. He laid himself across the brook, and the others were to cross over him. First Coal, then Bean. Coal took wide steps and slowly crossed the straw, while Bean toddled after. When Coal got to the middle of Straw, however, Straw began to burn and burned through and through. Coal fell fizzling into the water and died. Straw broke into 2 pieces and flowed away. Bean, who was somewhat behind, slipped and fell into the water, but managed to help herself a little by swimming. Finally, Bean had to drink so much water that she burst and was driven to shore in this condition. Fortunately, a tailor was sitting there. He was resting while taking a hike in the woods. Since he had a needle and thread in his sack, he sewed Bean back together. Ever since this time, all the beans have a seam. According to another story, Bean was the first to make it across the straw. She reached the other side safely and looked back at Coal on the other side and how he was crossing. In the middle of the way, Coal burned through straw, fell into the water, and fizzled. When Bean saw this, she laughed so hard that she burst. The tailor, who was sitting on the shore, sewed her up, but only had black thread. This is why all beans have a black seam. The more you know. Chapter 19. The Fisherman and His Wife. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman who lived with his wife in a piss pot near the sea. I'm sure piss pot means something different here. Oh, that's funny. Every day, the fisherman went out to fish, and all he did was fish and fish. One day, he was sitting with his line and gazing into the clear water, and all he did was sit and sit. Suddenly, his line sank deep down into the bottom, and when he pulled it up, he had a large flounder on the line, and the flounder said to him, "Listen here, fisherman. I beg of you, let me live. I am not a real flounder, but an enchanted prince. So what good would it do you to kill me? I certainly wouldn't taste very good. Put me back into the water and let me go." "Hold on," said the man. "You don't have to waste your words on me. I would have thrown a talking fish back into the water anyway." He then put the fish back into the clear water, and the flounder swam to the bottom, leaving behind a long streak of blood. Then the fisherman stood up and returned to the piss pot to be with his wife, and told her that he had caught a flounder, but since it had been an enchanted prince, he had let him go. "Didn't you wish for anything?" asked the wife. "No," said the husband. "What should I have wished for?" "Ah," said the wife. "Don't you think it's awful that we've got to live in this piss pot? It stinks, and it's disgusting. You should have wished for a little hut. Go back and call him. Tell him we want a little hut. I'm sure he'll give us one." The husband didn't think that this was the right thing to do, but he went back to the sea anyway. And when he arrived, the sea was green and yellow. And he stood on the shore and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, if you're a man, then speak to me. Though I don't agree with my wife's request, I've come to ask it nonetheless." The flounder came swimming back up to him and said, "Well, what does she want?" "Oh," said the man. "My wife Isabel thinks I should have wished for something because I caught you. Since she doesn't want to live in a piss pot, she'd like to have a hut." "Just go home," said the flounder. "She's already got it." The fisherman went home, and his wife was standing in the doorway of a hut and said to him, "Come inside, husband. Look, now isn't this much better?" There was a stove and a parlor, also a kitchen. Behind the hut was a little yard and garden with all kinds of vegetables and chickens and ducks. "Oh," said the fisherman, "now we can enjoy ourselves." "Yes," said the wife, "we're going to enjoy it." Everything went well for about a week or two, and the wife said, "Listen, husband, the hut is much too cramped, and the yard and garden are too little. I want a large stone castle. Go back to the flounder and tell him to give us a castle." Wow, greedy bitch. "Ah, wife," said the husband, "the flounder has just given us a hut, and I don't want to go back again so soon. The flounder might be unwilling to do anything." "What do you mean?" said the wife. "He can easily do it. He'll be glad to do it. Just go back to him." So the fisherman left, and his heart grew heavy. When he got to the sea, the water was purple, dark blue, gray, and dense, but still calm. Then he stood there and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, if you're a man, then speak to me. Though I don't agree with my wife's request, I've come to ask it nonetheless." "What now? What does she want?" the flounder asked. "Oh," said the fisherman, somewhat distressed. "My wife wants to live in a large stone castle." "Go home. She's standing in front of the door," the flounder said. The fisherman went home, and his wife was standing in front of a large palace. "So, husband," she said, "isn't this beautiful?" He went inside with her, and there were many servants, and the walls were all bright. The chairs and tables were made of gold. Behind the palace was a huge yard and a park half a mile long, with deer and does and rabbits. There were also a stable for cows and horses. "Oh," said the husband, "now let's live in the beautiful castle and be content." "We'll have to think about that," said the wife, "and sleep on it." Then they went to bed. The next morning, the wife woke up. It was just daybreak. She hooked the husband in his side with her elbow and said, "Husband, get up. We must be king and rule this entire country." "Ah, wife," said the husband, "why should we be king? I don't want to be king." "Well," said the wife, "then I'll be king." "Oh, wife," said the husband, "where can you be king? The flounder won't want to make you king." "Husband," said the wife, "go straight to him and tell him I must be king." The fisherman went, but was very distressed that his wife wanted to be king. When he got to the sea, it was completely gray and black, and the water was fermenting from below. The fisherman stood there and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, if you're a man, then speak to me. Though I don't agree with my wife's request, I've come to ask it nonetheless. Well, what does she want? Asked the flounder. Oh, said the man. She wants to be king. Go back home, said the flounder. She's already king. Then the man went home, and as he approached the palace, he saw that there were many soldiers, drums, and trumpets. His wife was sitting on a high throne of gold and diamonds, and she wore a large golden crown. 2 rows of ladies-in-waiting were standing on either side of her, each lady a head shorter than the next. Oh, said the fisherman. Now you're king, aren't you? Yes, said his wife. I am king. After he gazed at her for some time, he said, Oh, wife, it's wonderful that you're king. Now let's not wish for anything more. No, husband, the wife said as she became very restless. I have too much time on my hands and I can't stand it anymore. I'm king, but now I want to be emperor. Oh, wife, said the fisherman, why do you want to be emperor? Husband, she said, go to the flounder. I want to be emperor. Oh, wife, the husband said, he can't make you emperor. I don't want to tell that to the flounder. I'm king, she said, and you're just my husband. Go there at once. The fisherman went away, but as he was walking, he thought, this won't turn out well at all. It's outrageous for her to be emperor. The flounder's going to become sick and tired of this in the end. When he got to the sea, it was all black and dense, and a strong wind whipped across the surface and made the water curdle. Then the fisherman stepped forward and said, Flounder, flounder, in the sea, if you're a man, then speak to me. Though I don't agree with my wife's request, I've come to ask it nonetheless. Well, what does she want? Asked the flounder. Oh, flounder, he said, my wife wants to be emperor. Go home, said the flounder. She's already emperor. Then the man went home, and when he arrived, he saw his wife sitting on a very high throne made from a single piece of gold. She was wearing a large crown 3 yards tall and covered with diamonds and garnets. She was flanked on either side by 2 rows of bodyguards, each man shorter than the next, beginning with a tremendous giant 2 miles tall and ending with the tiniest dwarf, who was no bigger than my pinky. There were so many princes and dukes standing before her, and her husband stepped up and said, Wife, now you're emperor, aren't you? Yes, she said, I'm emperor. Oh, said the fisherman, and he gazed at her for some time. It's wonderful that you're emperor. Husband, she replied, why are you standing there like that? I'm emperor, but now I also want to be pope. Oh, wife, said the husband, why do you want to be pope? Husband, she said, I want to be pope. No, wife, said the fisherman, the flounder can't make you pope. It won't turn out well. Stop talking nonsense, husband, said the wife. If he can make me emperor, he can also make me pope. Go there at once. So the fisherman went off, but he felt rather queasy. He was trembling, and his knees began to wobble. A strong wind swept across the land. The water rose up in waves, and the waves splashed against the shore. Ships were in distress as they were tossed up and down by the waves. Though there was still a little blue in the middle of the sky, the horizon was completely red, as if a heavy thunderstorm were coming. Then he stepped forward and said, Flounder, flounder in the sea. If you're a man, then speak to me. Though I don't agree with my wife's request, I've come to ask it, nonetheless. Well, what does she want? Asked the flounder. Oh, the man said, she wants to be Pope. Back home, said the flounder. She's already Pope. Then the man went home, and when he arrived, his wife was sitting on a throne 2 miles high and was wearing 3 large golden crowns on her head. Numerous bishops and priests were standing around her, and there were 2 rows of candles on either side of her. The biggest candle was thick and as large as the highest tower, and the tiniest was a church candle. Wife, the man said as he took a good look at her, are you the Pope? Yes, she said, I'm Pope. Oh, wife, he said, isn't it wonderful that you're Pope? You must be satisfied now that you're Pope, and you can't become anything greater. I'll think about it, said the wife. Then they both went to bed, but she wasn't satisfied, and her ambition prevented her from sleeping. She kept thinking of ways she might become greater than she was. When the sun began to rise, she sat at the window and thought, aha! I could also make the sun rise. Then she became quite grim and poked her husband and said, Husband, go to the flounder. I want to be like God. The husband was still half asleep, but he was so shocked by what she said that he fell out of bed. Ah, wife, he said, be content and remain Pope. No, his wife said, I won't have any peace of mind and won't be able to bear it until I can make the sun and moon rise. I want to be like God. Ah, wife, the husband said, the flounder can't do that. He can't make you emperor and pope, and he can't make you God. Husband, she said, and looked ghastly, I want to be like God. I want you to go to the flounder at once. Now his limbs began to tremble, and he was filled with fear. Outside, a great storm was raging, so much that all the trees and mountains were shaking. The sky was pitch black, and there was thunder and lightning. Black waves rose up in the sea as high as mountains, and they all had crests of white foam on top. Then the fisherman said, Flounder, flounder in the sea, if you're a man, then speak to me. Though I don't agree with my wife's request, I've come to ask it nonetheless. Well, what does she want? The flounder asked. Oh, he said, she wants to be like God. Go home. Or go back home. She's sitting in your piss pot again. And that's where they are still sitting to this very day. What a greedy bitch. Goodness gracious. It's about 5 till 4, so I think I'm going to start switching over to the game. Next time we do this, though, our next story will be a story about a brave tailor, and then after that, we'll be getting to Cinderella. So that'll be kind of interesting to read the original Cinderella. but that will have to wait until next time. I mean, we've done a pretty good chunk of the book so far, I guess. See, we're on page 62. Where did we start? 13. We had 19 pretty good stories. Some of them were very weird, but I enjoyed them. And I hope everyone else did too. So, well, good. I'll have to figure out how we can fit this in at a more regular schedule. I think maybe the once a month thing is just going to have to be what we're able to do. Because as of now, the 3 streams I do each week is pretty much like the normal limit. Like, obviously this week is a bit different. I've had a couple bonus streams we've added. But, I mean, it's a special week. I've also had some additional time off of work that I've taken, so I've had some extra time to do this. But maybe like the last Sunday of every month or something like that, we can do a story time starting earlier in the day and read through some of the stories and such. I think that'd be kind of fun. I'll pose it in the Discord and see what the general consensus is of the idea. Because I really enjoyed myself. I think the stories are really cool. But I'm going to shift over to the Be Right Back screen so I can get my PlayStation turned on and get the game up and stuff like that. I will have to reorder, I think, maybe some of the some of my assets on screen once we shift over, because I don't know how displaced they are after moving everything around to fit this particular screen better. But I want to thank everybody initially who stopped by and participated in the first part of today's celebration. It was a lot of fun for me. It was been a nice calming sort of day. Get to hang out for everybody and read some weird ass stories that were very quite fascinating. And thank you again to Surfy for recommending the ad blocker, so we won't have to deal with ads on the ambiance music anymore, which has been very helpful. And I thank you for the VIPs who have stopped by and used their special chat commands and everything. Obviously, with the spaces down in there, not everybody was able to come and participate, but that's okay. I'll continue to use this particular scene, so everybody will still get a chance to use theirs at some point. But this has been a phenomenal 2 years. I've met a whole lot of people. You've already been in the reading circle. But I appreciate everybody who stopped by and listened to the stories for today. And hopefully some of you guys can play with me and all that stuff. So I'll get the game open and see what the code is, get it posted in there, and then I'll switch back over here. But I'm definitely looking forward to more story times and stuff, and I hope everyone here is as well. So thank you to everybody who stopped by and participated in the first part. I had a wonderful time, and I hope everybody did too. So I'm going to put you on the Be Right Back screen so I can get everything switched over to the second part of today's celebration. And I hope some of you can play with me later. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep the ambiance music going as I get things kind of set up, just so it's not quiet. But that will not continue to play once we shift over to the other scene. But I shall see you in just a bit. But in the meantime, enjoy the beautiful music.